Hopefully that tunes or whatever isn't too loud. It's weird how sometimes, it'll sound like you can barely hear it if you're in the room, but then I'll hear it in a playback of a video or something, and it's like the video moves that sound forward. I don't know. It's weird. They do weird things like with the camera and shit, man. I couldn't believe yesterday after I finished recording and Stella wanted to go out. And so I opened the door and I was standing out on the porch. And the weather was so weird. Like earlier, it felt like it was tropical. Like it felt so weird outside. Then the next time, it felt like freezing cold. I was like, what in the hell? I know they try and get the heat and the cold because that creates such a big commotion. But anyways, that was just weird. And they do all this stuff at night, But so when I walked out there, I got this flash of light that was up, and that's what keeps happening, like walking around the house or whatever, like while it's just becoming light, and I'll get this weird flash in the house and be like, well, that's weird, and then look up and like I've the orange sky, a moon coming in, this weird, like they just turned the lights on outside, like the lighting's all off and stuff. So this was one of those kind of things where like something weird, like I'm not used to that. And so I look, and it is the moon is full. And at first it kind of like, it was looking like, is it a crescent? Like, what is that? It was so big and bright and orange. And then one's rising right there on the TV, right when I said that. And then so it was big like that. And so I kept trying to see, and I was zooming in and stuff. And when you would zoom in on it, it was just like the stars. Like you could just see energy moving around. And so I don't even know what the hell. I don't know, like, there's so much weird stuff out there. Like at this point, I want to talk about this crazy thing with some other stuff about portals and stuff like that. But first I got to talk about this other thing. So, having somebody, a new person in the house, Stella's on edge. And so she was keeping me up all fucking night. I swear to God, she was pacing and her nails are way too long and they're clickety clacking. And so she's coming in my room, and she's huffing and puffing and having a fit. And I was like, oh my God, girl. And so finally on her last one, I was like, fuck. And I was just laying there, and I'm just like, okay, I may as well just get up, go see what. And I was like listening. I guess the TV's still going because you put those things on, it's supposed to be for 11 or 12 hours. It always goes off. It's ridiculous. At least some of them don't have commercials. Like some literally have commercials. You put on a meditation music and commercials will come in. It's mental. And so I got up and I came out, and it was 2:30, I think. And so I was like, well, fuck it. I'm just going to stay up and, start doing my shit. And so I got the remote and I turned the thing back to go, find something else on. And then I saw Kevin McCarthy all the way across. And I was like, what? And I gotta go by my own words, to not be put off. But when I saw it up there, I was like, motherfucker, why can't things just go easy? Why can't they just do it? That was weird. It's really dark in here if I don't have a light. Hold on. I don't know why it came undone. See, it's super dark in here. I don't know. I like it better when there's light. I always feel like when I watch other people's videos when they sit in the dark, I don't know. I have no idea. Like I'm telling you, there's weird shit all the time. And it's so funny, the weird shit that goes on around here. And then I'll see people on TikTok and stuff talking about their weird shit. And, they'll be freaked out. It's like, man, they could not handle being here. And I've seen some people where it's like, they're making this up. No freaking way is this really happening. And anyways, so when I had seen the thing with Kevin McCarthy, that he was now the speaker, I had to tell myself, okay, take your own words. Like that is, you know, if somebody comes onto the stage, it's somebody that we need to see, we need to know about or something. Like there's a reason why. Everything is so strategic. And I swear, every time like you try and think like, oh, this is what's gonna happen. Oh, this date, oh, this will happen. It's just like, oh my God, why can't it ever just go smoothly? Why can't you just do it the easy way? But, you know, I mean, they got to bring some of these people onto the main stage so we can see, you know, their criminal, you know, however it's going to play out. And so, you know, it was like, oh my God, what the fuck? So I better look and see who the fuck is this guy? Like, you know, I have no idea who this guy is. And, you know, I want to go in and find people out of his district, you know, who talks about him or his state or whatever, who he is his representative of. And so I want to hear what they have to say about him. So I'm not going to just go on Google and hear what the powers that be want us to know about him. So fuck that. And so go on and start looking, and like nobody's talking about it. I'm just like, okay, I think the vote just went at midnight. There's probably people who follow this stuff who aren't even up yet. And so then I was like, okay, so a lot of people don't, you know, haven't seen what, you know, there's going to be more talk, obviously, today. There'll be a lot more talk. So then I just did that hashtag to go in and see, like, you know, what, if I could just narrow it down. And so I'll tell you what I saw. And so it seems kind of like a mixed bag. So that for sure is that one of those things, like, which side is he on? So I saw Akasha, or whatever her name is, AOC. She did a whole long thing about it. And I only listened to a little, but she was explaining the problem with McCarthy when he goes in, that whatever it was, I'm not really sure about the whole thing, like, but she said that anything he does, the Republicans can say they want him out. So then she said every single time, like if he goes against any of them, and it doesn't matter how far they lean. So she's, of course, you know, she's a Dem, so she's trying to say like, oh, they're the problem, and so no matter how far his side leans, if he doesn't accommodate the furthest leaning, then they can call for a vote, and they can just keep this going all the time. And if he doesn't make the vote, then he can be voted out. And so then I was like, interesting, very interesting. So that seems, you know, to be a thing, something about this. And so then I saw some podcast thing, and they were talking about his reputation of just being a real doofus, a likable doofus. Like, you know, he's just got his role in DC, and he's not, you know. So it's a very much, sounds like a puppet. And I saw him being interviewed, and they were trying to ask these reporters, they're so fucking goddamn. And then when I see, like, I just saw this young activist, progressive, and, you know, with his outrage about this, something about the 6th, like, because he completely believes all that stuff, 100%. Like, when you go on and you see that some of the people, like, some of the stuff, look, we can look at it and think, like, this is ridiculous. Like, are you fucking kidding me? No, there are literally people who 100% believe that's true. They believe everything that they said on that day actually happened. Like, they really literally look at it as the Republican, the conservatives are terrorists. They're fanatical terrorists that are racist and you know, God obsessed or something. The strange thing is that they are also following the doctrine God. The whole thing is so bizarre. But anyways, so the Matt Gatz, I saw him talking about McCarthy, and oh wait, the reporters were sitting there asking him. So apparently Trump supports him, but you got to remember, Trump also supports the fraud, and all of those. I mean, he always was very supportive to get them on the stage. Then they reveal themselves to us. It just is a slow motherfucking process. But so him supporting him, that doesn't necessarily mean like he's a good guy. He's just somebody, because then when I saw Matt Gates or whatever, that guy talking, he was saying, and I don't know that much about him either. He's one of those too. I mean, there's a bunch that, but when it's 98% of the government is going down, it's like, there's not many you can trust. So like, they all probably have some issues. But so Matt Gates or whatever his name is, he was saying, if you wanted to clean up the swamp, why would you put the biggest alligator in there as the house, in the speaker? And, but the reporters, when they were talking to that fella, McCarthy, they asked him why was, I think they were asking about Trump. Why did he have dinner with somebody? I can't remember the guy's name now. Some guy, somebody who they're pushing on, apparently, I guess. I don't know. Because then he's like, he doesn't know who he is. And so they keep pushing. Well, what about his platform or whatever they call it? And he's like, well, he doesn't know that. He didn't know the guy. So he goes, well, then they go, well, he knows Kanye West. And he goes, so McCarthy just stops and he looks at him like, what? And then he goes, that's a different person. And they go, yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, so it was kind of like he was defending Trump, but the attack was like absurd. And then they're trying to say like Trump is a racist because he had dinner with some guy who knows Kanye, but they're pushing on this anti-Semitism shit with that, because they just got to find something to try and smear their character. And so, somebody who's black people are following, of course, they got to turn him into some anti-Semite crazy, all this stuff. It's just bullshit. But, people have to see. And so many people, like, what did I just see? And it was like, oh my God, the way people just jump on the bandwagon, just like what I was talking about with the movie and stuff. Like, people just, oh man, is it like a lack of identity? Like how people just like so blindly just like do what they're told or something. Like, I don't get it. But anyways, so the Matt Gaetz said also, something, because they said about Trump supporting him, and I don't remember what he said about that. It wasn't something that seemed like he was just talking about all of this bad stuff about McCarthy, and that he does. I guess what the deal was is, so before the vote, so the Republicans, so the party that he's representing, so I don't even know all this political stuff. It seems like that they put up two different people, like the Dems and the Republicans put up two people, but I don't know. I mean, there's different ones that are said, because it seems like at some point there was like 5 of them, so I don't know how they all get voted. It was like high school, I say him and they all okay, some bullshit. And so whatever it was, when it got down to these 2 guys, and I think one was red and one was blue, I'm not sure, but when they're wanting these people's votes, then the people who are trying to say, hey, I'll give you my vote, but we want this, 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 and this. So Matt Gaetz said that they had this whole list, and they said they gave him a sweet deal to McCarthy when the vote first started. And I saw another representative also saying this on another video. And they said, we gave him a sweet deal. I'm not sure what the deal, like, this seems all shady as fuck to me. But they gave them some sweet deal, and they just asked for blah, blah, blah. They wanted certain things that they're always putting in politic things. You know, we want, I can't even remember, so. But they had certain parameters they wanted him to follow. And then he said no. He just gave him a big old finger. And so they were all pissed. That's why they were all like, fuck him. No way. And I saw a video even at the voting thing where Matt and McCarthy were fucking screaming at each other, about to go to blows. And the person who was watching it, they kept zooming in and out on their thing. And so they had the thing right in front of them, so it was harder to see. So they were like reading Matt Getz's lips and stuff, and he's out there like, fuck you. Like, on the Congress floor. And the other guy's like, what? Like, it was so high school. Like, it's so ridiculous. They are a bunch of fucking kids. Like, we have oh God, I cannot wait for people to see, like, these people should not be fucking running the world. Like, goddamn. And so, to me, then it's like, okay, so this guy's coming onto the stage now. So something's going to be revealed by this, you know, his whole presence. And all this other stuff is leading up to, and, you know, for Matt to say, you know, we're going to put the biggest alligator. And then they do. They voted, you know, he got in, I think, by the 4 or 5 votes or something. It was real close. And that is where Acosta, whatever, AOC, she was saying that it's so close. And anything he does, then they can say, you know, well, we want him out, we want him to vote, and then they have to vote on him, and he can lose those 4 or 5 votes any day. So that, the whole thing with the House Speaker right now seems very unstable. So that doesn't seem like, okay, we're all set, everything's good. No, it seems like we're just, you know, they're playing a game. It's all fucking playing a game all the motherfucking time. So whatever bringing this guy onto the stage is gonna be to show something. It's definitely not like everything's fixed. So, and we still have the stuff with the bank. So who knows, you know, maybe fucking Joe and this Kevin guy got parties together or something. Now, whatever, this is going to bring another person. It is kind of, you know, like going to the party, and in order to get, you know, what's his name over there, you know, your neighbor you saw, you got to invite the guy across the street who's friends with him, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like that. Like, in order to bring certain people into our viewfinder, then they, you know, have to bring other ones on. And some of the ones that they bring on can also be double agents. Like, they can be trying to be friendly to the person they're bringing on, but really they've already made the deal, and they're just throwing this person like, you know, I already made my deal, sorry, you're going to get Mo. You know, they're all going to, I mean, even ones that don't end up in Gitmo for their crimes, it's going to be kind of like Zimmerman situation, you know, like, or Kaylee Anthony. It's like, where are you ever going to go for the rest of your life? Like, you know, I mean, if you were a politician and all these people start going down and all these crimes and shit, and you were involved in any way, like, and I completely get that, you know, there's a lot of this stuff, any of these different jobs and stuff that people try to go into certain careers and shit, that once you got in there, then you saw, you know, you're in the mouth of the beast, then you're kind of like, you know, how do you get out of it? If it's the fucking people running the world are the ones that are doing this shit, like, you kind of, you know, fuck. So there's, you know, I'm sure there's a lot of people who got into politics, acting, even fucking real estate. What was it I saw the other day? It was, might have been, I don't think it was water. It was some other thing about our resources. And it was all mob-owned shit. Like, that has been the thing. Everything that we have is like mob-owned, gangster-driven criminal enterprise of this world. You know, it's the criminals running the world. And the criminals at the top are a bunch of fucking sicko pervs. And the other people, you know, they're all enablers. So they all play a role. to keep shit evil. So, they're going to be held accountable in one way or another. And, even if they don't go to prison, I mean, who's going to be inviting them to a barbecue? I guess they can all go start their own little village of rejects, the reject village, and nobody wants anything to do with these people, because, that's just the way it is. But then, if our society were to stay like that, then look at, we've got all these, reject cities where, people aren't healing and growing and stuff. There's so many big changes that are going to have to go. I really think that, I think it's going to come down to like very micro of people who are going to be held accountable. Like, I think there's going to be doctors and nurses, all sorts of people that are going to be going down for the crime, especially like right now. There is going to be some doctors, man, some of the stuff that I hear people say, oh my God. And, I just on the thing where I just saw this woman, she's had 4, all her kids have them. Her 6-year-old just got it. She's all into them. She thought they were great. Lucky, and keeps getting her younger kid. And then her 6-year-old, within 2 weeks, now he's in the hospital nonstop with heart issues. And she's, upset. And this is a thing too, is, so apparently this guy had firsthand knowledge. He actually met one of the people involved, and he's the one who told him. But so, and this is probably more than just this. This is the Astro World payoff. So the Astro World, there was a lot of people who dropped dead at that concert. And when that went down, however, it got blamed on a couple of those different, the P and the M, those got blamed, and they started paying people off. And I'm not sure all this stuff. There's so much shady shit. I just saw this lawyer who was talking about this whole huge case that's going on, and media is not talking about it all. So that's the thing. The media doesn't tell us the things that we would want to know about. That so apparently, in order to cover their tracks, they're just paying these families off, and they're relocating them. And so this one was, the girl was an 18-year-old. I think it was getting a lot of notice or something. And so he met her family, and hers, they paid everybody. He said, like, cousins, everybody. And like, are you fucking kidding me? You make so fucking much money off of us being their lab rats that it's more worth it to you to pay off all these different people, and not just give them like a lump sum of money. They're relocating them, and so that nobody can know them and know their business and know that someone was lost. And then they have all these NDEs or whatever. They're not allowed to talk about it because they took the money. So they're all like taking this blood money in order to cover the ass of these motherfuckers. Like, goddamn, I'm telling you, the things that people will do for money. Fuck. But, then also when you've got people who are poor and struggling, which they keep most people at, and you have people who are just, how are we ever going to get ahead? How is anything ever going to change? They don't see anything changing. They don't recognize that there's a problem, Houston. Everything is perfectly fine. This is the way life is. And they're willing to accept it. It's crazy how much abuse people are willing to accept. It's just mental. And so anyways, I'm curious to see how this is going to play out. But I was like, oh, motherfucker, are you fucking kidding me? We're going to drag this out. I just hope there's a thing about this 120 or 121 or whatever this date is. Hearing about it, some of these dates, like, I don't know if they come from some of these prophets or psychics or whatever that market themselves with that, because apparently I saw this video. One of them, I'm not sure who it is, which one, because there's a lot, that they said something about, I think this is a religious one. I think they said something about Jesus was going to come on the 31st or something. They told all their people, and, all, I don't know how many people were involved about this prophet or whatever, but they said something and it didn't happen. And I saw this happen to Allison Coe, man. I mean, people went fucking crazy on her. I feel so bad. I mean, they got her where she won't even fucking post anymore. Post once every few months, one little tiny thing. And all she wanted to do was help people not worry about what was to come, because she just kept hearing all this positive stuff in all of her QHHT sessions. But because she thought that the event was going to have happened a couple years ago, then people was closed in on her. So that is what happened with this lady, I guess. Apparently she said something about Jesus was coming or something, and then he didn't. And all the congregation, all the different followers and all this stuff have turned on her. And it's like, man, people have got to even understand, even when you can see the things that they don't show me, like I've said, like I'm guessing just like everybody else, and I've become hopeful. I'm just trying to read the signs and, be aware of the energy and pay attention to my surroundings. But, one thing though, when you do have the communication, people who don't have it, who are sitting on the edge of their seats, giving all their faith to this person who has it, it's a translation. Sometimes it's hard to translate. You see something, you don't know how far ahead that is. You don't know when it's going to happen. And, some of the stuff they're showing you is kind of like possibilities. Like, this was what could happen or something. Like, it's all in a translation. That's why people have to get to their own. They have to get to their own trusting, their own inner knowing, their own communication with their own higher self. And then they'll find your higher self is not going to just sit there and give you the day-to-day, like, okay, this is going to happen, and this is going to happen, and this is going to happen. The people who are like I saw this one prophet, religious prophet lady, talking on one where someone was sharing her stuff, and it would be like, okay, there's going to be people are going to be talking about the number 7. The number 7 will be in the news. There will be many fires will be had. There will be, it's kind of like that. And so, I don't know if they're seeing it and trying to understand their stuff. That's how it is to me, is, you see it, you try and understand what they're showing you. But to me, my guides, definitely, it's like there's a lot of stuff that is like the surprise factor, because they told me, like I had said before, if they sat there and told me day to day, like, okay, this morning, this is going to happen, and then this is going to happen. After that, this is going to happen. That it kind of takes the interest out of the game, for one thing. But you would try and control what was going to happen instead of allowing things to roll out and happen, because there's a set way that things have to happen. And although you cannot change it or control it, it has to roll out the way it's always going to roll out. Just like I keep saying, however this goes down, it's already written. Like, we may not know the steps to get us there, but we know where we're going to be. And that is already written. And, each of the day-to-day, some of the stuff, like if they told you certain things were going to happen, it could be just like panic. Like, if they told you, tomorrow you're going to die, you would freak out for all that time ahead. So, they don't sit there and tell you all this stuff. I just saw this one spiritual guy. He was, I'd never seen him before. And he was saying, I'm not going to be here. I will be leaving. I will be, you people call it death. I will definitely, when this goes down with the switch, I'll be leaving. And see, that's why I say is like, there's a lot of souls that know they're going to go. Like, they're not here for the age of Aquarius. They're here for this part, and then they'll go back to their home, wherever that is. Fuck, it could be anywhere. It could be, right next door. It could be anywhere. That is what people have to really start understanding about, consciousness and realms and realities and all of that stuff. It isn't all of this physicality and stuff that people think. It's where your conscious is focused, and it is more when you say, like, you're gonna go be birthed into a reality, into experience. It's like going into the library. You can't just go in and start reading the books and, finish and never finish them. You just read a few pages, set it aside, read a few pages, set it aside. In the game of life, then you have to complete the book. You have to. So when you get birthed in, whatever book is written for your role, you have to complete the book. So it isn't like you can just hop around like that, so you have a set parameter, a window, which your soul doesn't have a problem with. Like, when you come into the chaos, then yeah, your avatar is like, fuck this shit, get the fuck out of here. And it feels overwhelming, but your oversoul, it's just an observation. It's just it's not like it doesn't have empathy for you, but it's self. So it's like, it isn't like it has no empathy for you, but it's not looking at you like you, is looking at you like self. So it is a reflection of self. And, even yesterday I was cleaning some mirrors and I was thinking about water and how water is where so many ships are always going. And then mirrors, how people say, like, mirrors are portals and stuff like that. And I was thinking it's something with the reflection, I bet. It's something, how something can reflect. It can be used like a portal. And that one thing with that park that guy had said, like, it was like overnight, all of a sudden, that they had put this whole portal walk. And it's weird. Like, if you see the footage of it, it is trippy looking. And it looks like, you could, like, since I get like this time and space thing, like, since I've had the experience to all of a sudden be in like a space bubble where time and space is moving at a different rate around you and then bust out of the bubble, it's trippy. And it's weird how it changes how you hear and everything. Like, in the bubble, it is like the sounds are outside somewhere and everything is moving at a different rate of speed. And then when you break free from it, it is like there is like a sound, like a whoop, like when you unseal something and it makes that whoop. There's a sound when you go through it, and all of a sudden it's like sound again, and like the movement, it's the whole energy changes. It's very trippy. But when I seen that portal thing, I was like, that's what it looks like. You would be, walking, and you would keep going through these kind of space bubble things. And that the way they have these things lined up, I'm sure there's something with the frequency. So the frequency as you walk through these, because it's like a sidewalk that has these things on each side that look kind of like TSA or something. And then it goes down a little further, so they go down this thing. So I'm sure as you walk through this, whatever these two things are emitting, because kind of like in the med beds, that was the whole thing of that frequency and how you have to have the TV screens lined up so they emit off of each other to create this frequency. And so I'm sure that's what this portal thing is. And that is, it's going to be so much about this time and space, and that is what is going to lead us into this other modes of transportation and stuff like that. I even have heard that this was a girl who was talking about a dream, very long, very specific dream. And she said that in her dream that we were going to start moving. It was kind of looked like how she was explaining it. It kind of sounded like Star Trek. Like, you go into a little thing and then it readjusts all your particles and then puts them somewhere else, and it just is like in 1 minute or something. So it would be something like with all of these. But the whole thing with portals is, I think you'd have to understand how to use them, for one thing. Like, there's more to it. Like, I don't think, like, because this is so interesting. And this is one of the things I wanted to talk about so much was, Like, this is what I was going to talk about until I saw the McCarthy thing. And then it was just like, okay, don't get down. You know, you want this to go fast. You want this to just be the easy way. You know, Trump goes in, gets him out, good money falls, you know. But obviously there's more stuff that we have to see, more criminals that have to be brought to justice, you know. And that's what it's all about. So hopefully this is going to go fast. You know, maybe today they'll do another vote on the guy. You know, I mean, whatever it is, to me, is it's not completed. It's still, everything is being shuffled around. Everything is being exposed. I mean, that's the energy we're in, is with the planets and everything. It's all about the exposing the truth. So all of this stuff, no matter how tedious and, you know, irritating some of it is, you just got to keep on stay in observation mode and just keep on watching and try and stay detached from your anger and frustration. But anyways, so when she had come, she was asking me if I had, because she's really into like supernatural stuff, and she had asked me if I knew anything about the stairs in the woods. And I was like, no, I've never heard of it, but I know in the woods is portal. I know the woods is all supernatural. I know that's part of why they try and keep us out of the woods. The woods has got it's got its whole thing going on, you know. Like, there's definitely, I mean, I always knew Bigfoot was out there. I always knew, like, Wendigo, I knew all that stuff was out there. Things that travel through portals that eat people and drink blood and stuff. I mean, the fucking government trades us as surplus for technology because, you know, and like that one QHHT person said, and some planets were kept in like bird cages, like a cute little animal. So funny because, you know, people do that here and they don't think anything of it. Just like keeping a pet, keeping a dog or whatever. You know, what kind of lifestyle are you giving them? You know, is your dog your slave? Is your dog your doormat? Is your dog just something there? You know what I mean? People have to, this is like a renegotiation of all your perspective on everything. Like, I just think it's very valid or significant that most humans can't imagine themselves as being a bird cage or a bird in someone else's bird cage. I just think I don't know, it's kind of ironic. And so anyways, with the stairs thing, so this is off of Reddit. Reddit has a lot of spooky stuff, man. Spooky stories. So anyways, you know, some people don't believe anything that's on Reddit and some people do, but this was a video of the guy who was sharing these Reddit stories. And so these are kind of like the missing 411, and now he's going to do a series too, talking about that missing 411, because that's what I kept saying too, is like, yeah, but do you know about the tunnels and all these people that keep going missing in the national forest, and it's covered up, and that they I mean, there's a lot of stuff. And even on the missing 411, you know, there's been kids who have gone missing and then they find them like 30 miles away up on a cliff, you know, hanging in a bird's nest or something. And there's like, there's a lot where it's like, you know, it seems that a Bigfoot or a giant or something. And now there's been so many more with the giant sightings. I guess there was a Canadian fella who got footage of a giant running across the top of a mountain and was sharing that, and I guess he's disappeared now. Like, people are just freaking out because there's a bunch of people who have come out and shared things about giant sightings, and the people keep disappearing, like their accounts or the people, like, I don't know. Like, that's a whole group in of itself. The I don't know, it's everything's so high school. It is like, I would categorize them kind of like the historians and truth seekers of, you know, this realm, this place. You know, they're more with the flat earthers and all of that kind of group of looking at that kind of stuff. But you find a lot of people, like, I've seen so much footage of weird things washing up on the beaches, weird things in other countries and stuff, like really weird stuff. So, I mean, some of these things that people have shown footage of washing up on the beach, they look like some sort of a sea monster, and to me, I've always thought the ocean is, you look down in there, that's what I see. When I look into that water, I see past the water and I see into the depths of where it is, creatures and realms and stuff. That's not someplace I want to go. I don't like to swim I don't even like to swim in the lake. But anyways, so the 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 stair thing. Okay, so apparently this was supposedly some guys who were search and rescue were doing this Reddit thing. And so they're saying when they were getting trained, so they were getting trained to do search and rescues. They had to be out in these certain parts, and then they'd have to, and then when there was ever a kid, especially go missing, because this guy was like, I'm so sick of finding dead kids, because they call all of them up. And so there's a whole bunch. Like if you look up the stuff about the stairs in the woods, like I was just like, what? This is so crazy. And they're not allowed to talk about them. And the one guy who was telling one of the stories, he was like, when I first went, and it's all like hush hush, they don't talk about it. You're not allowed to ask about them. You're not supposed to go on them. You're not supposed to touch them. You're supposed to ignore them, not speak of them, nothing. And so there was all these different stories and different details about it. Like there was people who have been doing the job for 6 years, and then there's somebody new. And so the guy who had been doing it for a long time eventually took this one guy aside because there's all these weird things. Like one of the guys who was being trained, he went up on the stairs one day when he was out being trained with this guy. He went up on the stairs and stuck his hand out, and his hand just sliced off. You could never find his hand or anything. He almost bled to death even. And his hand was just gone. And there was one where a kid was laying on the stairs and started dissolving and disappearing. There's all sorts of stuff where the stairs are definitely some sort of portal. And the guy said it even gets spookier is sometimes you'll be walking and the stairs are flipped upside down. And he said some of these stairs are so freaky looking. He said that they look like brand new stairs just leading to nowhere outside, and they look like they're carpeted with white carpet with nothing on it. Like they're just perfect stairs just sitting out there, like taunting you, come. Because I imagine a lot of people would go walking through the woods, see some stairs and be like, what the hell are the stairs doing out here? And then walk up on the stairs and then disappear. And there's even with some people have heard the stairs calling them, talking to them, beckoning them, come to me. And then people go and this one was kind of trippy too. As a kid, it disappeared. And there's something always goes with the stairs. This person said, when somebody disappears, there's always a weird thing with the stairs. And they had dogs tracking, and the dogs would lose the scent because there kept being stairs, and then they would find the scent, then there would be no stairs, and then it would be tracking, and then they would lose the scent, then they'd find stairs again. And every time they said that they would get to a set of stairs, they could pick up this kid's scent. And I was like, oh my God, that's so trippy. Like, this reality is really big over here, and this reality is much closer. And so he's going through this one, and oh man, that is so trippy. And but there is a whole thing with the stairs all the time when these people go missing. And so this trainer guy was like, you're not supposed to go on him. He said one of the days he just was like, I'm just gonna do it. They say you're not supposed to, you're supposed to ignore the stairs and all this stuff, like they should. have signs out and stuff. And I guess there is some signs, stay off the stairs or something somewhere, but the stairs pop up at different places. They're not always in the same place. They'll just pop up. And all of a sudden there's stairs. And so this guy, he said he walked up, and it was the same thing, like what I said, when you go into like a space bubble. He said he was standing up at the top and he was thinking, well, this is stupid. There's nothing. And then he said all of a sudden he realized that there was no sound. There was nothing. There was no, everything was completely like he was in a little space bubble. And then when he went back down, all of a sudden, or when he went down, something happened, and all of a sudden it was like that same thing bust out of that space bubble and back into the other one. So I think there's going to be, I think that there will be something where, you know, there will be more with the frequency and stuff. So we'll have to learn how to do that, which is going to seem spooky, I think. Some of this technology is going to be so advanced, but I think that there's going to be a lot of beings that are going to be helping us and showing us when we get to that point of, because I do 100% for sure think, you know, cars, all that, that's going to be gone. That's going to be something of the past. That was another thing, too, a woman did in a dream. She said that we were all traveling around in some kind of like bubble-looking things, and there wasn't cars anymore, and that she said that she was going somewhere and there was a car, like an old truck somebody was using for decoration. So that's, see, I think that that's what it's going to become is, you know, I mean, we've got so extreme amount of garbage, but that is the reset. Oh, and that's what that one guy said. The one who said, I'm going to be leaving here, you know, don't feel bad or anything. You know, it's, you know, when you understand about souls and transition and stuff like that. But he said that, what was it? I knew it was, if I start telling, because he was saying about, was that different realms? Or, man, oh, how something just comes in and then it just goes right back out. It's so hard to keep it in there. And, but, you know, the realms and stuff, they are just like that portal thing that they made that in the park, with those things going across. See, I think that there's going to be a whole thing with those that the magnetic will help us to travel, but there's going to be something else. Oh yeah, because he said the reset, that's what it was, because he goes, you know, because we're about to have a huge reset when everything goes off. And that is the thing. That's the thing that is kind of like, is it going to be suddenly like the lights go out, you know? And then, but that to me would be more with the solar flash event, you know, the big cataclysmic, the reset. And I don't think that this thing that is about to happen is the big reset. You know, but he was saying in the reset, when everything goes off and you see like this is a simulation, because you know, that could definitely be a part of it. And but to me, we still have this part where the truth has got to be shown, the truth has got to be revealed. People aren't living by the truth, so we still have that whole part, and that's the awakening. That's when you wake up to the truth. So they still have to go through all that part to get to the event, the, you know, cataclysmic kind of thing, unless, you know, I'm just not understanding it right, which is very possible. You know, I think that it's going to have to be the people we go through this year of just all this stuff, waking people up, and then all of the energy, it all has to do with energy. And so the energy we put out, I think that's what's going to bring the event. But everybody has to be kind of more prepared. You know, if all of a sudden the simulation goes off and we're all just standing there like a bunch of light orbs, like, okay, so we're going to have a new world here? You know, and I also don't think it's going to be everybody. I think there is going to be a lot of people who are going to transition. And if it is just transition and go back to where they're from, go back to a place they like better, go back to be with other family members that they've incarnated with, like, I don't know, because there literally is some people who have left their body in some sort of status and have come in for this experience, and then they leave this avatar, go back to where they are laying somewhere in some sort of meditation. So I don't know, but I definitely don't think that every single person is going into the age of Aquarius, but every soul wants to grow from this experience. But it's not going to be like there's not very many souls. There's just going to be a lot of people who are going to transition. And I think when people are transitioning, we just got to really keep it in mind that a lot of them are going home. We got to celebrate for them. They did their job. They came here and they did something great for themselves or for the planet or for humanity or for mankind or for the universe. Like, everybody has different roles to play. And so a lot of people, when they transition, we really have to learn that life is that gift. The one guy who said about the lights, suddenly going out, he said that is the present, is the presence. Like, you being present is your gift. And that is the thing, is that people have to really understand that you have limited time with different souls and incarnations. You have different, small windows of opportunity to experience, and you will always be left wanting more, wishing you had more time with them, wishing you had done something different, and that's part of the learning. I don't know why elimination, but that is part of that process. And so, because souls do have other places to go and other places to be. We can't all just be there so somebody, never has to feel pain or something, so anyways, there's going to be a lot more people are going to be passing. I just think, when it's people who we love who leave, we got to just keep remembering, they have other lives outside of this one. Just because we're staying in the game doesn't mean everybody else is going to. So we've got to, and the longer you stay in the game, the more you've got to watch people come and go. And the more you understand about people coming and going, the more that you need to really value your time with them, and being present in that time and focusing on, the interactions. And not all interactions are going to be good. Some interactions are to teach you, to help you grow. And so some of your present lifetime experience with somebody may not all be, sunshine and roses. It can be a lot of challenges and stuff. But believe you me, no matter what the challenges are in this life experience, when you go out of this experience and you are in soul form, you'd be high-fiving each other, like, what a good job you did. It is not the same kind of anger or benevolence or something towards each other as what we can find in this human experience, because you have all of emotions and stuff, and that's one thing, is like your higher self, your oversoul, when it's watching you, it doesn't have all of these emotions and stuff. Like, it is observing itself in how it's affected by emotions, by other people. If it can stay focused on its role, if it can stay connected to itself without the distractions. Like, your soul is challenging itself all the time. And so, and it grows from every experience. But, people get so stuck on thinking, like, God. They all always think it's God. Like, this one God up there, he just got it out for you. He doesn't like you. You're the big disappointment. No, it's your oversoul, your higher self, your advanced self, the self that's ahead of you. It's like how we can sit there and go and talk back to our inner child. We can go back and, give them the love and care that they want. But that's our oversoul is doing to us. It is, giving us the loving and care. When it's in communication, it's giving us direction, just as we give our inner child, that our oversoul gives us direction. But it depends on your connection to your oversoul and how well you're listening, or if you're distracted. Are you living in pain and suffering? Are you living in trauma? Are you living in distraction? Are you living in someone else's view of what you should be, or who you should be, or how you should act? That is a big one. We all want to set the parameters on how everybody else should act so we are comfortable. Sometimes you got to be uncomfortable. You got to allow people to be them. And if you're triggered by that, then that's your gift from the universe, so you can go in and figure it out. And then not what they need to change, but what you need to let go of. And so your oversoul isn't sitting there being bitter and mean and hateful and, like, fuck you, you deserve the worst. That's not what your oversoul is doing. Your oversoul is just observing itself of what it feels like to go through an experience. What does it feel like when you are emotionally charged? And when you start having the awareness of these abilities, these things, then that gives you that step back where you can begin then to try and control your emotions, control your perspective, control how you look at things. And the more you get in connection with them, the more you have like a little team, like where you're both sitting there. It's like you become the arms for your higher self. You become the vehicle for your higher self. You're no longer just a car going out of control in life, trying to like not get run over, trying to dodge every bullet. Then you begin to glide. And it is crazy because, I'm not kidding you. They will tell you every fucking move to make. Like, oh, get this. Oh, go get that. Oh, you're going to need this. Oh, that you're going to need in a minute. Like, it's just nonstop. And when you're listening, it's like your life begins to just flow. Like you walk past something, you grab it because and then you get that. And then all of a sudden you're doing that. It's like there's a flow to it when you really sink in with your higher self. And, but you have to get out of that victim mentality. Like, God's out to get me. Life's out to get me. No, I'm just the unluckiest person. Nothing works for me. Nothing ever works out for me. I'm just a horrible, ugly human being that nobody cares about. That's where you have to change in your attitude towards yourself. And then when you get super stuck in that, it is like, then you have to really start paying attention. Okay, so be aware. There's an energy that will hold you stuck because they like that feeling. They like you to feel like shit. So they attach to that. And the more you feel like shit, the more they get bigger and feel better. And they're not going to leave their source of energy. So they're going to stay attached to you as long as you're feeding them. So, that's like an extra fucking 25-pound tumor sitting on you while you're trying to break free from this energy of victimization and, being down on yourself and thinking that you're not worthy. So, then you have to kind of, it's like you got to get up and dance when you're carrying a big old fucking person on your shoulders. So, but you do have to do that. You have to push through. You have to find your joy even when things seem dark. And the more joy you can find in your soul, the more you can feel good. And to me, what helps is to just start looking at things like at the lesson you're learning. Don't look at it as like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened. I can't believe that happened. Look at it as like, oh my gosh, what am I going to learn from this? What's going to happen from that? Who am I going to meet across this? Start being like excited about things, because then you start changing your attitude. Well, then you're kind of like, yuck. I don't want to be sitting there on their energy. That energy feels yuck to me. So that energy will let go of you. It's a different vibration. So you change your vibration by changing your attitude. Then you start pulling that energy in towards you. You start pulling in energy that wants to build you up. You start listening to those, telling you like, good job, God, look at you, go girl. And they'll start really building you up and feeding that energy. And, when you are very programmed, then you'll think, oh my God, I'm so crazy. I just sit here and talk to myself. I'm so crazy. I have to sit here and tell myself I'm a good person. Well, sometimes you do. Sometimes you do. That's called self-talk. That is something that your oversoul is wanting you to do. You know, if that's what you need to do to keep reminding yourself, which I use self-talk all the time. I use breathing, I use self-talk, I use meditation, I use isolation. There's all different ways, you know, to recenter yourself, you know, and to find you in the mess that's all around, you know, because you can become a part of the tornado in this world. And so you have to constantly come back to center and find, like, you know, how you're feeling. You know, what do you think about things? How are you feeling about this? What do you want to do? And, you know, always stay true to yourself. And so, and, you know, that is a process, because it's a process to learn to love yourself when this world has programmed you to hate yourself. You know, they want you to hate yourself. They got the pill that will save your life. And, you know, it's all just to destroy your health and make you dependent on a system. And so, you know, those are things that you have to see through and start taking a chance. But I see these people, these holistic medicine people, are attacked like crazy. Like, it is absolute crazy, the stuff that people go in on these people. Like, they think people who trust natural medicine are really wackadoos. Like, I don't know, on some of this progressive media, what they tell these people, but some of the comments and the attacks I see them do on people, it's like, what? How can you think this way? This is so strange. But, you know, when I see this kid who's just going off on the January, man, it is like, oh my gosh, what a strange world that you live in. It's not based on reality. It's all based on what someone is telling you reality is. So strange, man. But, you know, that is, you know, the recognition, seeing that stuff. In seeing something in others is so you can see it in yourself. So, you know, start noticing the other ways that people are programmed, how they're so set on the narrative, following the agenda of the, you know, the ones in charge, and that they are so, they're so strict on their narrative and stuff. And you, when you start seeing, then I think it, just seeing it in others can help you see it in yourself. So you don't see it in others so you can judge them and think, oh, they're stupid, oh, they're sheep, oh, they're this, oh, they're that. And that's what people just love to do. But that is not helpful at all. When you see something in somebody else, just begin to take it as a reflection tool for self. So start becoming aware, like, am I doing that? Like, because when you're noticing something, there's a reason. There's a reason you notice something. But people, you know, they don't go to the next step. They would rather just, you know, like release that energy in blame and stuff. But there is a whole transmute of the energy when you process and go through the process and see things more clearly and heal your traumas and all that stuff, you know, to go through all of that process. So in this, you know, where you got to reprogram yourself, first you got to notice things that are wrong, and everybody has their own things. So you notice your biases, you know, start asking yourself the questions like, why do I think that way? Why do I think this way? And as you start to break down those, you know, questioning yourself and noticing other toxic behaviors in other people, and begin to reformulate your own behavior, then that will begin to emanate out. And not just like, I mean, the 100 monkey effect will happen over time, evolution. It will all, everybody will begin to go in that same direction once one person leads the way. It is just like a natural energetic effect or something. But the but when you, your own self change, then you, your own self will begin to pull that energy towards you. So your life, even before the rest of the collective, your own individual life will begin to change energetically as you transmute the energy that you have. That's because it is, just being able to go in and see someplace where you are down on yourself and reprogramming that and going into it and being introspective, then you can transmute that whole energy, from being a traumatic thing to being a exciting, a fantastic thing that you learned from. And don't forget, even some of the most traumatic things is just so your oversoul can look and see the true warrior that it is when it can overcome the obstacles that are dealt to them in the beginning of the game. And so as you get your cards for the game, then all of the trauma that is handed to you, and then you get the rest of the game, the rest of your time, with stomach's growling, the rest of the time to overcome and show your oversoul, your higher self, show them what they're made of, so your oversoul can see, like, I'm a total badass, I'm a total warrior, and some of them, because you can't just say, like, some of the people, they just, because like in the case of my dad, where he came in, he played a certain part, and was, pretty rotten person, and but he taught me a lot of good things, and but he, was a pretty rotten person for his whole life, didn't seem to ever learn. I mean, right at the end, he, he drank the whole entire time, even with no liver. He was still, you get these soda, those 1 liter or 2 liter, this little soda, Coke bottle things or whatever. He would go to the store, buy a bunch of those, take them home, dump, I don't know, I think he dumped some of the Coke out, or maybe he put it in a glass. He was not wasteful. He probably poured some in a glass and made himself a drink with it. But he would pour the Coke out and then pour the vodka. I think he was drinking, I think at the end he was drinking rum. Like maybe he thought rum was less strong than vodka. I don't know. But he would drive around with those, and he'd think he was outsmarting the cops and stuff like that. And it's like, you're not outsmarting your liver. You're just like, who are you really outsmarting? You're not outsmarting yourself. So, but then when he, he had a tragic end, and then when he passed, and then when I started having all that weird stuff happen, and I talked to that medium, and she talked to him, and then, he was in, what I think of as kind of like a purgatory kind of, it's the only thing I can explain it. It's like there's a waiting space. Like I've talked about it before. There's a space that you go into, like a healing center, before you can just go back into regular population. There's like a transitional space because of some of the stuff that happens here and it charges you up. And so he was in one of those spaces where he was in some sort of isolation, and he was very angry, and he was still very stuck on his part and stuff like that. But now it seems that he is over that and is more back to himself. So the point being is that sometimes the part you come into play is so toxic, but that doesn't mean necessarily your soul's toxic. The part you're playing is toxic. So to everyone else, it can seem like, you're just the worst, ungrown, and all that stuff. But literally, you're a soul who is just playing a part. And so, but you still, the part affects you. You still have this whole thing that you have to go through to get back to being yourself. Like, it's kind of trippy too, is like at what part, I don't know. I don't think like your oversoul, like you think like your oversoul, you die and you just go and you're just back being a part of them. but you stay as your character. It's like your oversoul can put out a whole bunch of characters. It can it can create a bunch of characters. It can be watching itself in multiple roles. We can't see all the roles because that would confuse us on the one we're playing. But the oversoul can see, and you can be playing, like, you can be playing the part of your mom, your sister, and your brother all at the same time. So is it's very trippy, but like you're playing all these different parts. But so when you pass, you stay as your 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 character, but you also is the people who know you are going to know you as the character that they know. Like, you're always going to be seen by those people as they know. Like, it wouldn't be like, you're outside the body and then they're like, who's that anyways? I don't know. I've never seen them outside their body. No, you look at them and you would see them automatically. You would know them because it's based on a vibration, an inner knowing. Just like how, your soul in this life can know, like, connections. Like, you can walk past people in stores and somebody can walk past you and you meet eyes and it's just like nothing. Somebody else can walk past you and you meet eyes and it's like, oh, I know you. And it doesn't have to be where you interact or anything. It is just, souls just know. They don't have to look at the face or something. Which also, just even think about that, is in the experience, as you come in, look at all the different faces you have through life. There's somebody who can know you as a child who wouldn't even know you as an adult, who wouldn't know you as an old person. So you have multiple faces even through life for somebody to have full recognition. I mean, like, I, would recognize my kids or something, but, Joe Blow or whatever down the road who, hadn't seen you in 15 years and your kid's all grown up and you're standing there, they may not know that's your kid. And so, there's, it's weird too, because, I don't know, I just know it's on another level about your soul and the recognition, and in just walking past someone and having recognition. It could be just an energetic swap, because everything is so precisely destined. I mean, everything is down to the fucking minuscule second. Like, it is, I think it is so fantastical to even think how designed this really is. I think that is far beyond what people can even comprehend, how truly designed by the moment that life truly is. And I think that just really adds to people's frustration, especially in this world where they tell you you can control your destiny and stuff like that. No, you can't. You have to accept your destiny, especially when you have people coming in to play different roles. Like, telling somebody that it came in to play lack and poverty and loss. You can't tell them that they're doing something wrong, that they should just be manifesting $1 million. They didn't come in for that experience. Now you're overstepping their experience and giving them something else to focus on and getting them to feel doubt about themselves. Be like, oh man, am I doing something wrong? Why can't I have $1 million? Well, you didn't come to play that part. You came to play the part of what is it like when you have nothing. Well, what do you do? How do you get through life? Like, it brings up completely different things in you, as if you go through life and you have everything handed to you. Like, every single situation has its own unique role and lesson plan. So, don't ever be ashamed of whatever your role is at your play. Even if you were to play the bad guy for somebody, that is, it's, it just got a flash of Laura Linney in Truman Show, when somebody was asking her about the role and about real life and stuff, and she was like, it's what was the word she used? Not important, but like she was doing something really good. by playing that role. And, it's the best thing for humanity or something. But really, all roles are a part of our learning. And so all the roles, even the roles of the bad guys, are important roles. There's no role that is unnecessary. Every role is necessary because every role works together to create an experience. So anyways, hopefully that stuff made sense. But, when I first turned on the TV and I saw the McCarthy thing, I was like, motherfucking shit. God damn. But, they could vote him out today, apparently, I guess. Well, anything he does, and to me, that is going to be, for the people who follow that kind of stuff, I think there's going to be, stuff going on that they're going to keep bringing attention to. If it's on votes or something, there'll be something. I don't know what it's going to be. But definitely nothing is happening by accident. That's what you just got to keep on telling yourself. Everything is so designed in life to the minuscule second, and it is already written where we will be. It's just that the road to get there is a lot of shade, a lot of mystery. So, just got to keep going, and keep your attitude good, and don't get down by the world as it tries to drive you into despair, and keep you down and keep you low, because that's part of the game. Is don't let it do that. You've got to keep overriding it. Keep your attitude up and keep yourself going. And that is every challenge is for you to get to find that in yourself. Every time that something comes at you that will make you angry, frustrated, sad, resentful, whatever, it's that opportunity for you to look at that emotion, see if that is, why are you having that emotion? What do you need to do about that emotion? How do you feel about that emotion? Where did that emotion come from? So anyways, it's all part of the process. So just, there's nothing that you can do wrong in this process. There's nothing that's possible for you to do wrong, because it's all set. You were always going to do what you were going to do when you were going to do it. There's nothing you can do about that. So, and the more you can understand that, the more you can just sit back and relax and just watch things play out and stay in observation. Just keep remembering, we're in a game. This is a movie, and it's already written. Everything is going to go our way. It's just, we got to go through the storm to get there. So stay safe, and hopefully this will be over soon. So I'll talk to you later. Bye.